I thought I told him to spray it with water to retain. You can't treat a glaze lily like a cactus.
I'll go talk to him.
Hey, Tainari!
Oh, it's you two.
We didn't have anything to do with...
Well, Port Ormos is... The exhibition includes flowers from every corner of the world, each with... Even so, an expert is still required to develop tailored transportation.
Oh, and that
Not this time, no. I'm just here to help out. The expert in charge...
Mr. Tainari! Sanjay! He confused...
Never mind. Forget about... Apologies, Traveler, Paimon. Looks like I've got something...
Tainari's busy no matter where he is, huh? Yeah, seems like it. Hey, don't look at Paimon like that! Well, looks like Tainari might be busy for a while. Wow, look at these flowers! They smell so...
Huh?
Paimon's... Fine. She's just got a little...
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilia's? No wonder.
It's getting worse. But, I was fine just
A moment of your time, you two? If it's not too much trouble, perhaps you could try this incense.
Incense? Oh, the scent. Whoa, that was fast. Paimon doesn't have to sneeze.
Think nothing of it. From your attire, I imagine you two aren't from Sumeru either. Seeing as we're both travelers from abroad, it's only right that we help each other out should the occasion arrive.
Oh, so you're here for the flower exhibition too?
I suppose that's accurate. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Emily, a perfumer from Fontaine.
Paimon is Paimon.
The traveler, right? I've heard a lot about you from the...
What happened back there? Why did Paimon...
Have you ever heard of hay fever? To put it simply, when in...
But Paimon has...
Well, we're all different. The factors that can trigger a reaction to certain stimuli vary by person. In isolation, the effects of... But there's no need to worry. Pollen allergy...
Oh, well that...
Traveler! Paimon! There you are. I left in such a hurry, I forgot to warn you about all the pollen in the air. Emily? Ah, what a coincidence.
It was nothing, really. We happened to run into each other shortly after my arrival, and I offered them a bit of help, that's all. I'm more curious as to why you thought the Traveler and Paimon were in danger.
Remember the first time we met? You fainted after inhaling Spirit Borneal.
The Spirit Borneal didn't affect Paimon at all, and now she's...
It's not really something you can make sense out of, Paimon. There are all kinds of allergies out there, caused by a variety of different factors.
Exactly. I even encountered a case in Fontaine where someone had an allergic reaction to soba noodle.
Whoa. Good thing Paimon isn't allergic to anything delicious.
In addition to medicine, Emily is also very knowledgeable about botany.
And that's where my expertise ends, I'm afraid. When it comes to breadth of knowledge, Tainari's...
A flower expert? Oh, Paimon's got it! You must be the expert Tainari man.
Wrong again, I'm afraid.
Well, I did come for the exhibition, but only to inquire about the Auguste.
Oh, Paimon was sure she got it right this...
It's a kind of flower that was once popular in Fontaine. The perfume made from it also bears this...
Auguste, huh? That's not a name.
In an ancient language, the word is said to mean sacred or noble. It's sometimes used as a name for people as well. Ah, that reminds me. Are you Perfumania was an event that occurred in... It all started when several merchants released their own lines of high-end, expensive... No one anticipated the absolute frenzy this would create on the market. The demand was twofold. What some saw as a status symbol, most saw as a... The value of these products became so inflated, regular bottles of... But at the end of the day, perfume is just perfume. The market value greatly exceeded the intrinsic worth of the product, creating an economic bubble that was never going to last. Luckily, the Palais Mermon, in the end, only a few
What does all this have to do with that Auguste you mentioned earlier?
Well, during the craze, the most popular perfume was none other than Auguste.
10 million? Then what about now?
After the mania ended, most perfumes returned to a normal price. Auguste was its namesake, the flower used to create it, went extinct. As a result, no new... Indeed, the Auguste flower was not a natural... When the bubble popped, all the flower...
But didn't you say...
Ah, yes, I came to...
Traveler, we should help Emily look for it.
I have to agree. Emily wrote me to ask if I could look.
Even if I can locate the flower, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, Paimon. I don't have any grand Mora-making endeavors planned. Divine, noble, one of a kind. All beautiful sentiments to be. When it comes to perfume, I want people to forget the price and the prestige. And
Wow, so noble.
of course, there's also a more practical reason. In recent years, low-grade counterfeit versions of Auguste have been popping up on the Fontaine perfume market. Every so often, someone will claim to have recreated the unique scent of Auguste, and
Okay, that's more...
ever since that rumor started, 3 new... If I can dispel the fanaticism, then I'll be free from all the stories and added meaning and just focus on making what I like.
That makes sense.
Oh, I would, of course.
Well, you said it yourself.
Ha! I suppose...
Based on the information I have so far, it's... Mr. Edgar also thinks it...
Huh, I was just about to pay him a
Edgar? Who's that?
The person you've been trying to guess this whole time. Back when he was still working in...
I should also mention, he...
So this guy was a famous perfumer in Fontaine, but then he came to Sumeru to teach people from Fontaine? It sounds confusing.
It's a long story. If you're interested, we can talk more about it when we see him. He should be staying near the...
Time to go.
Oh, look at all the flowers!
Apparently, the exhibitor paid a large sum to rent out the hotel.
Yeah, what if guests come early? They won't have anywhere to stay. Also, renting out this big of a hotel, how are they gonna make that Mora back?
It's been so long, I almost didn't...
Well, you and your brother haven't changed a bit.
Oh, yeah, oh,
Hold on.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emily? Is that you? I've heard you've become quite the famous...
Oh, well, it's all...
Ah, hardly. I taught you the basics. Hearing you call me Master, well, I'm not sure I'm deserving of that title. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite as accomplished as you. You're the only one who can take credit for that success. And who are these two? I don't...
Ah, they're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends.
And these two gentlemen? Are they friends of yours, Master?
Uh, of course. I'm Ood, and this here...
Yes.
Merchant Brothers?
You must be here to look for the August.
Huh?
Well, what respectable perfume...
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. We were just about to get into it, so you three might as well join. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. They searched all over Sumeru, but there were no sightings of the August flower. That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled a unique fragrance on the streets. Definitely floral, but still distinct. Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. According to them, the fragrance smelled exactly a one-of-a-kind, divine, and noble scent.
Maybe someone around here just happens to have a bottle of August from back then.
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle that was never opened, the fragrance of the perfume would have changed over time. Very few perfumes can go decades without a change in scent. Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shift. Only a few bottles still exist in Fontaine, and their scent would have completely degraded by now. Although, could there be a flower out there with a similar fragrance? Or in accord with the same bass notes?
Impossible! If a goose were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price all those years ago. The Auguste flower is back.
Technically speaking, the scent wouldn't be impossible to imitate.
Well, let's table that question for now. Edgar, did any of those people...
No. By the time they realized they had smelled something, the scent was already gone. Compared to things we see and hear, smells can be much easier to overlook.
It almost sounds like someone wearing the Auguste fragrance passed them on the street.
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud. Don't pay me any mind.
We don't have much to go off. You all traveled so far.
Ooh, you've got the keys to the rooms? Do we get free...
My apologies. Oh, I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute.
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue. Guess that means there's definitely no space for us.
I should have been more considerate. Here I...
Don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some plant specimens while I'm here in Sumeru. Ah, even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here? It would...
Well,
Of course, no trouble at all. My brother and I will keep an eye on them for you, as long as you don't mind, mademoiselle.
all right then. Ood, why don't you take Emily inside and find a suitable place for her luggage? I'll prepare some refreshments and join you in a bit.
Time to go.
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Didn't Edgar say he tidied up around? Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
No, that's a floor. We work closely with the essential oils of various plants, but to maintain a sharp sense of...
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite. Blaze, while you're out, why don't... Ahem.
Yes, of course.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage, madam?
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine. Could I trouble you to bring that back as well? It would be the
How generous. I should...
Is that so? Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze, thanks...
Hey! What are you doing?
That's Master's voice. Master!
Hey, Edgar! Are you all right?
Kyria. August.
Kyria.
Hey, Edgar? Edgar!
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank you.
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Oh, really? You think?
Fateful offering.
Do you think whoever did this was hiding in the flowers before? True.
I checked.
Oh, but that's impossible. Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the
Well, we looked all over, but
The most important thing we can do now is focus.
So, how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. He's still unconscious and inducing... Ah, yes. The scent is the same, but first, I do believe there are two people who... Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucian.
Wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle?
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. The perfumer, a researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the 2 brothers capitalized on the myth. In the end, they were sent to the fortress of...
And what does that have to do with us? There are countless merchant families in Fawn.
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucian...
Ah, Miss Emily, out of respect for your position as a famous perfumer in Fontaine, I'm inclined to believe you have a bright future ahead of you. You wouldn't want to develop a reputation as someone who throws around false accusations.
You claim to be regular perfume merchants, and yet, when I brought up amber wine, you took it to be alcohol.
What?
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago. It wasn't particular unless, until recently, they were living somewhere completely cut off from the perfume world. Somewhere like the Fortress of Meripede, perhaps?
Emily, you little...
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up, but Master's life is in danger. We need to learn whatever we can. If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, I would... So I'd like to trouble you for some information, if I may. Tell me about Kyria.
Fine.
Sylvain!
Lucian, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be... You were right, Miss Emily. There were 4 of us at some time down the road.
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in Sumeru?
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those... Still, Master was depressed for a long... That's how I met him. My parents had to relocate to Sumeru for work when I was a child, but we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijay.
Like us, Vijava was also staring down in him. But before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all the...
But destroying all that evidence, wouldn't that make things worse for her?
It didn't matter at that point, because she died in the fire as well.
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why?
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either. But you two seem quite familiar with him.
Kyria was Vijava. He was just a clueless kid back then. Vijava kept him close most of the time. After our operation was compromised, he...
So, you think Kyria took something with him back then?
Vijava doted on the kid like you wouldn't believe. She even... If she left something behind before she died...
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to replicate the...
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Auguste. Wait!
Poison? No. Of course, if Auguste could be considered a poison... He probably... We're not looking for Kyria because we have it out for him. We only went to prison for a bit of fraud and market manipulation. It had nothing to do with the product itself. As long as we keep things...
So that's why you never mentioned Kyria during your interrogation?
Yes, exactly. We were just looking out for the kid.
Anyway, that's all we know. If you're looking for information on what's in Auguste or what to do...
Well, At least we're able to say for certain that the substance Edgar ingested was in fact a goose. That gives us a direction for further testing.
Well, glad to hear it. Lucian, let's head back to the room and rest a bit.
Yes, of course.
You think so too? That does seem to be the case. Pity we don't have. But based on Sylvain's tone of voice just now...
The way you exposed them like that, just based on a hunch? That was Oh, right! Earlier you said you were only...
Oh yes, that's because most of the patients I encounter...
So you're a forensic doctor?
Close. I'm actually a forensic cleaner. Once the forensic team and the Marachese Phantom are done... In fact, with just a small alteration to the formula. Basically, there are two sides to forensics. Those who collect evidence to expose the truth, and those who clean up the smells, bloodstains, and other substances left behind at the scene. I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient. Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report? I'll stay here and continue to look after Master.
Whoa, why the rush? Did something happen?
What? He's the most famous
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a suspicious individual fleeing through the bazaar?
No, but we've got eyes all over the area. I'm sure someone's seen Kiria. I'll start gathering my forces. We won't let him get...
What about you, Tainari? Do you have a plan?
I'm sure the sheriff can handle things over at the scene, and I doubt Emily needs my help looking at...
But...
Then she was far too modest. She may not be a doctor by trade, not to mention the fact that Mr. Edgar's condition is related to perfume. As for me, I'll head to the...
Oh, that's right! Bijava was the...
From Emily's letter, certainly. I didn't have time to look into it earlier, but I have friends in Sumeru. I'll leave you and Emily to watch over things.
This scenery is wonderful.
Well, it's been a day. Wonder if Tainari's discovered anything. But things weren't looking good with Emily's master yesterday. We should... Emily!
No longer in critical condition, thankfully. He's still very weak, but with a bit more rest. My chemical analysis of a goose also... I was able to identify the components that give the substance its fragrance.
Elemental energy?
Hard to say. It was such a minute amount, proportionally speaking, like mixing a single drop of perfume into the ocean. I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to even detect the traces present in the sample. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have. As for whether Master's condition was caused...
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tainari come and find you? Maybe...
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything.
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see you first. Excuse me? Is Miss Emily here? Oh, perfect! Familiar faces! Traveler, Paimon, you're here too!
Kale. Ah, of course. Tainari's apprentice. He's mentioned you many times. And please, no need for formalities. Emily is...
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you too. Did Tainari send you here, Call? Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night, and still haven't had a chance to rest. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe that Master considered that possibility as well. But the name... How is that possible?
It's starting to seem very likely. If we...
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Curio came back?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel just now... It's locked?
There's no one here.
Lucian! Lucian!
That's Sylvain's voice! Hurry, let's check next door!
Lucian! Lucian! Come on! Emily, Emily! My brother, he's gonna be okay, right?
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain, but we were too late this time.
No, no, that's not...
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge... He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's...
Of course. Leave it to me.
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, Let's get you up. Here, take... We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. He's like a shell of... He may have made some bad decisions and...
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother...
If Kyria really was behind this, then what exactly...
Lucien can no longer speak. But the Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air, and now this happens. Miss Emily, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor.
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I did take a look, though.
Then, would you mind helping us investigate?
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the...
We'll help too. We don't know much about dead bodies, but you... And the windows are Well, looks like we've investigated as much as we can. Let's go...
So, did you find anything?
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
But, entering through the room...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother seemed genuine.
Then, what could have happened last night?
I agree. Also, I've made some new discoveries, so we might as well...
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything you and your brother did since yesterday.
After Kyria attacked Edgar, we returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors leading to... The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise!
So, no movement from the room next door, no no signs of a struggle at the scene, and no external injury on Lucien's body.
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and there weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible explanation is that he inhaled a substance without knowing it, and I'd say that substance was...
A goose? No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose won't kill... No. Emily, you ran your tests, didn't you?
No. I didn't find any
See? A goose is...
That may be true for most people, but not for...
Master!
Edgar? You're up.
Thanks to Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try...
Edgar!
Even if we could keep it a secret for another no. He would never give up. Not if he's doing all of this for Yelena. That's Vijava's real name. Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an exile.
A Fatuz?
The Fatui.
Ah, so you've already detected it.
Oh,
The August flower was created with the mutative and...
A delusion?
The Fatui. Delusions. I never would have.
Born of a delusion, August contained distorted elemental energy.
that's enough, Edgar. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume and the flower. It didn't have any effect on ordinary people anyway.
So you decided poisoning people was...
Listen, unless you were particular.
It may be true there are no records of a goose, but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to... That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kiria's involvement a secret all this time. The Fatui, delusions, a goose. If the Marashase Phantom discovered...
Ha! If I'd known all these years with a goose was harmless before.
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's death? Was that a cover-up too? A way to destroy evidence?
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the product circulating on the market, but if the Marashase Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, it would have been the end. Before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it. She burned all her flower beds and threw herself into the fire.
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, there would have been no reason to do that to herself. Yeah, she could have just burned the flower bed.
I thought about it for a long time, but it wasn't until just now that I find everything she did. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui after arriving in Fontaine.
So she couldn't flee with her brother.
If her true identity was exposed, the Auguste flower. So, in the end,
So the wealth you earned from a goose, it wasn't destroyed in the fire.
most likely. Before Yelena died. That's why Lucian and I were searching for Kyria. To take back Armora and the Auguste flower.
But why is Kyria out for revenge anyway? Doesn't he...
I don't think he knew his sister was nearing death. Yelena always wore...
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kyria what really... I'm not so sure. Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred.
Very true. Even...
Edgar!
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been so blinded, if we hadn't invited the Marash...
She knew her limits. We were just trying to earn a bit of more. Lucian's cry. Fine.
3 people from Font. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone. With
The hotel could suffice, although with Sylvain...
Mr. Edgar, are you saying?
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. A cry. I'd just like to take care of a few things before... As for Sylvain, would you be willing to grant that request?
Well, the man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
Happened tonight? Oh, you mean the possibility?
Yeah! All we know is that he uses a goose to poison people, but we still have no idea how to catch him in the act! If he targets Sylvain or Edgar again, we might not be able to stop him!
That may be true, but what if we can take advantage? If we take advantage of this situation...
Master, no. That's too dangerous.
So, that's your... If Kyria learns we're being taken... In other words, you want to use us as bait to capture him.
Capture? Not necessarily.
Afraid? This is my only... I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway. I can't just sit... As for the danger...
I'll admit, it could work. Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel.
I still have some reservations. But if you insist on carrying out this plan...
I'll also keep watch.
Although, I think Sylvain, if Kyria noticed another person...
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his hands on the...
If that were to happen...
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old pack of bones.
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch.
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained. He's being taken away.
What? He's the one who helped craft all the fragrances for...
He taught my child how to make perfume. How?
He hasn't been convicted yet.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about the rumors. No matter where Kyria is hiding, he must have heard them by now. Let's head back to the hotel and take a break. We can see... Emily, Chef Xian wants to talk to you.
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you have some?
Oh, that's very kind of you, but I'm okay.
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've got a long night ahead of us. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Was it that obvious?
You seem very preoccupied with Kyria's revenge.
Oh, Hey, Emily, Kale. Oh, are we interrupting something? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through. I've just been thinking. There was just a single door separating them. When I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien died, and saw how maybe Kyria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain, so did he attack it?
Based on what we've heard about Kyria...
Losing his sister all those years ago. Whenever I get to thinking like that... I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't think like that. Not after everything he's done.
There's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. And in all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, some of them even try to stop me. Surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of smell will become... So while you hold on, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to... Answering those questions requires a lot. I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine. When someone dies, a certain amount of information can be inferred from the traces left behind at the scene. But generally speaking, death will just leave most questions.
Once you're consumed by hatred?
You're right. But that also makes us perfectly positioned to stand on the outside. I understand Kyria's decision, but I still want to stop him.
Huh.
Emily, Traveler. Huh? Edgar, you're here too?
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be—
A little exercise never hurt anyone. Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I would imagine Sheriff...
The Night Watch! You meant...
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding... Exactly. After some discussion, we can... And Emily's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch.
Sounds perfectly reasonable. I'll be glad to have your help tonight.
Not a peep. Has Kirya given up on his revenge? Guess we'll have to keep it. Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kirya's true motive was simply for... No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was... There must be something we're missing.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about... You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like... Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, glaze lilies, incense... Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked.
It was the older of the merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant.
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene. Please.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy.
Do you think it could be the work of an... I mean, how do you get away with something like that?
Keep it moving, everyone. No lawyer...
I suppose I'm next.
You don't know that. Kirya already attacked you once, and you survived. Perhaps...
You were the only reason I'm...
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was...
Is that so? I suppose I'm a very fortunate person then. I have exceptional students, but Kirya has nothing. It really makes you wonder if there's even a reason to keep on living.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kirya himself, once we find...
Well, Emily, there's... But so many flowers were transported here. Whether Kirya gets to... I know it's a...
Of course.
Really? Now
Sheriff Sham still...
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting. He can't...
I'm sorry, Master.
sure hopes Emily's plan will go well. Oh. Emily still isn't back. I hope yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone now, too, but after listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together and arranging personnel. I barely had a second to spare last night. To be honest, I'm still not sure how the crime was committed that night.
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time! Let's go! We'll show you where the culprit hid a... I only have a basic idea of what
So, you're saying I'm the only one?
I only have a basic idea.
So, you're...
Another all-nighter. Paimon sure hopes Emily's plan will go well. Emily still isn't back. Yeah.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. After listening to be honest, I'm still not sure.
The key clue was right in front of us the entire... Let's go! We'll show you where the... Wasn't this incense originally a loop?
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before.
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly as
A flower that only blooms at night.
Exactly. Although the Nilo that's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism.
If poured into the flower pot, the liquid... There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower petals. It's one I recognize. If applied to the outside, if you stick the petals together with slime...
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime that way the Auguste would remain. However...
And Kyria could execute his revenge.
By the next morning, the sample of a...
Wait a second. And how did Edgar even survive ingesting...
That's because Auguste is just as...
You mean... That can't be right.
I wouldn't use the word... You can think of it this way.
The incense I smelled earlier seemed familiar. Thinking back on it, I'm almost certain it was the scent of Spirit Borneal. In Fontaine, I experienced how drinking primordial seawater... All kinds of essential oils come... In Sumeru...
All chemically produced essential oils,
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru. Ah, yes.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so it's...
Flowers are pretty important to this plan, huh?
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to... He probably used the Moria late, but in the end, it was just a...
There's a saying among forensic, but up until this point, but because he's been disguised as someone...
Creating such an intricate mechanism out of a glaze lily, it all points to... The Mora spent to rent out the hotel, it all points to one Kyria and Edgar are one and the...
But Kirya was only in his teens back then. Edgar's lived here for so many years. Even if he...
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. It was giving off a really ominous aura. But before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of ghost or... Do you think Kyria kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully about this. Are you certain that figure wasn't Edgar himself?
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so frail.
It would seem Master decided to tap into it.
What? But that's so...
But why? Why would he...
No. If his aim was to target everyone who...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to see him suffer,
then there's still...
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Time to go.
Where in the world did he go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath.
I saw... How could...
This is terrifying. This is terrifying.
No! Don't come any closer!
If we go any further, we'll be out of...
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of the scent from here. I would say he passed by the...
It's this way. Please, follow me.
Time to go.
Take flight.
Time to go. One with nature.
The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Oh! O's! Are you all right? Were you attacked?
No. No, I'm alright.
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason,
This feeling, I've encountered. Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar is he's a good man.
Oz, you need to calm down and listen to me.
But how is that? Mr. Edgar is 70-something.
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary. Kyria used a delusion to bring back the Auguste flower.
No. He couldn't have.
And what if the impersonation started before? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kyria killed the real Edgar while Edgar was incarcerated. The new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the. And Sumeru fit the bill to a T, with no one around to. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized Edgar. He aged himself decades beyond his years.
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not.
What you really need is to get out of here and.
No,
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, I know how to relieve your. I'm sure Kyria.
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. From our this leads me to believe those blessed with a vision, or actually, now that I think about it, I hate to trouble you, but we need people to.
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out.
Traveler, Emily, Paimon, for someone whose only purpose in life is revenge.
Don't worry. This isn't the end. We're not going to let a goose kill anyone else. Monsters. Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy.
Stand with me!
I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff.
Commit it to memory. Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers! There are so many of them. Paimon can't believe a single...
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Using a...
But why would Kyria need this? He only needed a few bottles of Auguste...
Perhaps hatred wasn't. Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers, but Kyria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in for someone with nowhere to call home. Perhaps dying... Neutralize!
Everyone hold hands!
No, my sword!
Our bond is strong! I see everything!
Reconstitute!
Boba, get...
timeline. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end.
Did they catch up that fast? No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This is far enough.
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all the... Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but I always understood. The reason why you continued to use the delusion. The reason why you set your garden on... I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have come look. I should have died with you that day. Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Please, Yelena!
Emily? I'm alive. No,
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body.
No. The amount of Auguste I drank, it's a fake, but...
We started making the preparations last night with one goal in mind, to create a perfect... The Accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedarwood, rounded out with a base note of agarwood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an Accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind.
Our competitor already got their hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed. Miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determination. determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharuar, capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emily?
I got it.
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied to me?
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed?
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch, if Auguste was...
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glaze, but recently, we found a way.
Rainbow roses? Glaze?
Auguste was created over 10 years ago. All this time, perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost...
The past.
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always... But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so you believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed it was... Your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed us to predict how you
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, you hit the nail on... So, Sylvain isn't dead. Since you've been preparing your accord since last night, that means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd gathered outside the hotel this morning.
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation.
Who knows? Maybe.
I know if you had things your way, Sylvain only inhaled a small amount of poison. He's being detained as we speak. All the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law for everyone to...
Is that so? Well, I suppose I'll be spending the rest...
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify my actions. I did what I set out.
Careful, everyone. This environment...
Stick close. Hurry up.
Looks like I'm almost...
Of course, Master.
The combination.
The scent of Auguste is complex and... So, as I was analyzing...
You're saying...
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Cecilias... But if you cultivate a new flower species that...
Rainbow roses. Yelena.
Did you know? Miss Emily's releasing a new perfume! Right, I heard about that.
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume.
I was hoping to release it without such a I just hope it won't become the source of some new I did, although I made a few modifications. Also, I was hoping you could try out the fragrance.
Of course! A good sense of taste. Oh, it smells great!
It's alright. Besides, when it comes to perfume, common.
Right! Do those flowers have some...
if I had to...
The language of flowers? Oh, we've heard...
What each flower is said to... After returning to Fontaine, I did some research. And... Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena...
You think Kiria knew about...
I paid him a visit before his trial. Who knows? Maybe she didn't... Yelena is gone. We'll never... Even if that is what she was... Avenging her death? Kiria cultivated his revenge like a In any case, he did want me to pass along thank you for saving my life. For love and hatred are a privilege when someone dies, but even if it's only a conjecture, I would like to believe my own the meaning we give to flowers, the symbolism we assign to our perfume, and yet at the very outset, they're born from the simplest and most beautiful.
Art is the key ingredient in fine dining. So annoyed.
Yeah.